Stay strange is what the 29th Bucheon International Fantastic Film Festival calls for and has been calling on for years with its slogan. Korea's representative summer film festival, held in the city of Bucheon, halfway between Seoul and Incheon, is now approaching its end. This year's event, once again, filled with imaginative works of horror, fantasy, science fiction, and more. Let's talk about the highlights with our movie expert Jae Soh, professor and filmmaker at Seoul Institute of the Arts. So welcome, Professor Soh.
Hello,
nice
Professor.
So, Professor, you're actually back from Bucheon. You have been to the BIFAN this year. So how was it?
Yeah, I went yesterday. It was really amazing. I went to see a student film that made it to BIFAN, so it was a short section. And what I just remember is just, it's my favorite festival, first of all, because it's all about genre movies. But what was great was it's so hot right now.
Right.
So it was really nice to see, something in a really cool theater, and the movies were all scary. So that combination was like amazing. But as you mentioned, it's a festival that celebrates genre filmmaking. So everything from horror to science fiction to fantasy. And this year they have 221 films from 41 countries, and there's 54 world premieres happening right now. And today's unfortunately the closing ceremony, but there's actually 2 more days. It goes until the 13th.
Right.
So there are many different sections in the festival, but I really like it because I'm a big fan of horror. I'm a big fan of science fiction. So for a lot of audiences, I think it's probably the most mainstream festival that's out there. So I think, definitely if you get a chance, try to catch the movies in the next 3 days.
Oh, I'm jealous because I'm not good with horror movies, so I won't be able to watch some of the movies. But I did hear that there are plenty of movies to watch in different genres. But it's also very well known for its focus on unconventional imagination and experimentation with genres, and it's celebrating its 29th year this year. What role does this festival play in the Korean film industry as a whole?
Well, I think it's one of the few festivals that, you have Busan, then you have Jeonju Film Festival. Their focus is more about maybe Asian cinema and about art films. Of course, Busan's a bigger venue, but Bucheon has been consistently, the title Fantastic Film Festival, as you mentioned, it's something that's much more commercial minded. So a lot of films from this festival have gone on to be big box office hits, whereas like other festivals, it's more like indie sort of feels. And also Asian cinema as well. So they have a thing called NAF, N-A-F-F. So it's about like connecting Asian like producers and filmmakers to Korean money or vice versa. And that's really kind of blossomed into something. And so at this festival, you get, I think Bucheon is one of it's almost like a thermometer in terms of like if you want to show a movie there, how it's going to play with audiences. And also a lot of different countries from Asia are bringing their genre movies here, and so Korea is a big market for that as well. So I think the festival is definitely sort of a conduit or like a basically a focal point for all these things to converge in one spot.
It's interesting that you mentioned that it is one of the most commercial film festivals compared to the other ones, while its slogan has been "Stay Strange" for the past 5 years or so. So I found that very interesting that they're calling on filmmakers to be strange and having that slogan for the past 5 years or so. But also what might have been strange to some people was the opening movie this time, which was a movie with a screenplay that was written by AI. So tell us about this movie and what does that mean to the film industry?
So this movie was directed by Peter Winewich, who it's called About a Hero. And it's basically a funny premise. AI wrote it, but before the AI actually wrote the screenplay, they made the AI binge watch Werner Herzog movies. And if you know Werner Herzog, he's a great filmmaker from Germany. And he's also like an opera director and an actor. But he's made movies like Nosferatu, Fritz Corraldo, Agira, The Wrath of God, and then he's also a great documentary filmmaker. So his movies are like about sort of human weakness, about sort of like a surrealistic imagery, and about just weird subjects. And so you're teaching AI, like, I want to make this like Werner Herzog-esque movie. So the movie is about like some person's death that happens in a fictitious German city, and it's narrated by somebody. So I just watched the previews for it, and it just kind of felt like something Werner Herzog would make, but it was also weird because it's not, basically the human element was like making the film. Everybody went ahead, but they didn't change a word. They let AI do it. And so the director was sort of experimenting to see like how creativity works with artificial intelligence. And I think as an experiment, I think, interesting. About birth of new cinema, I don't really know. Yeah.
So for now, you can still differentiate for just like the general people.
Yeah, fortunately, at this stage of the game, AI is a lot, behind human imagination, and thank God for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. And the festival, BIFAN, is also very well known for its special programs. I know there is one that's going on. It's focused on the special actor showcase. And this year, there's a focus on Lee Byung-hun, obviously, from Squid Game. So please tell us about the programs that's going on at the festival.
Yeah, every year, BIFAN chooses an actor. And this year, they chose one of the biggest actors in Korea. So 30 years of filmmaking, his filmography, Lee Byung-hun's famous for, recently he was in The Match, but in Squid Game, he's like basically the most like well-known, outside of Korea, well-known actor. So he's been in Hollywood movies, he was in like, the Terminator series. So they're doing sort of a retrospective on his work. I think they're showing 10 movies by him. And then he was also there at almost every single showing of his movie. So you got to meet him, and there's a talk that featured him. And he's a really, I would say, an interesting guy because he's met so many different filmmakers and had so many weird experiences that I think he's definitely, needed to be celebrated kind of actor, and he was the perfect person for it. But BIFAN has a lot of other, they also had events about AI. So, they've been doing that since about 2 years ago. And this year, their goal is to give 1,000 content creators the ability to use artificial intelligence to enhance their sort of content. So there's a lot of packed events happening at the festival, for sure.
Right. I think I remember vaguely last year there was also an AI movie that brought a lot of attention with pumpkins being one of
made
the...
by a Korean filmmaker.
Exactly. Well, so it looks like the film festivals in the future will all feature a lot of these AI elements. But now the celebrations in Bucheon are coming to an end. As you mentioned before, today is the closing ceremony, but you can still enjoy the festivities until Sunday. So until what we saw until now, how do you read into the trend of this year's works? And also, was there anything that really stood out to you?
Yeah, well, yesterday I watched short films, but what I noticed, there's an animation that used a lot of AI, so even for the voiceover. So I think filmmakers, when they are starting to approach a lot of material, they're using everything available to use in their creativity. But I also wanted to recommend a couple of films. Like tonight, they're showing the closing night's film. It's called The Go-To Restaurant. And it's directed by Han Jae, and interesting enough, Ma Dong-seok is the producer. His company is making a movie, and basically it's about a story about like somebody that is missing in a restaurant. And so it's kind of a drama based on that. So I would highly recommend seeing that movie. Another movie is a movie called The Ghost Game, and this is by director Song Dong-wan. And it's a high-teen sort of horror like mystery film, and this features from Red Velvet Yeti. And she's featured in the film, so I would highly recommend seeing that movie. And then there's a movie made by a foreign director, Emily Blichfeld is her name. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. She made a sort of a body horror film called The Ugly Stepsister. So it's like a retelling of Cinderella, but using body horror. So if you're into that, it's in the New Flesh section. So I would highly recommend seeing that as well.
I think Bella and I would be more into the first movie that you mentioned.
Yes, definitely. So there are so many films, and obviously, as you mentioned, different genres of the film. But for those who can't make it to Bucheon, I heard that there's also films that you can catch at the theaters. So please introduce those to us as well.
Yeah, there's actually a movie that's already in the regular theaters playing called Noise. And this movie is directed by Kim Soo-jin. And it's basically, as of today, I think it was like 870,000 people went to see it. It's a very small-scale horror movie, like you said, Noise. It's about a woman who basically has a hearing problem, and she's missing her sister. And then she starts hearing strange noises in the apartment. And so the two movies that I want to recommend is actually about apartments, living in apartments. There was Concrete Utopia a couple years ago. And in Korea, the big thing is about living in an apartment. You want a high rise in a really good neighborhood type of thing. So these movies kind of like talk about those themes of like how people's sort of desire for materialistic, comfort, it turns into a nightmare. So Noise is a movie that's in the theaters you can watch right now, and it has Lee Sun-min as the actress in it. And also the other movie that's gonna actually feature on Netflix is on the 18th. Is a story. It's titled 84 Square Meters or Wall to Wall. It has Kana in it, and basically this is the classic story of 84 meters squared is like basically the optimal space that somebody has to attain. And so Kana's character buys this new apartment, and it turns out he has like these crazy neighbors. So it's a horror film based on that. So it kind of talks about like basically what all Koreans go through in terms of trying to get the material comforts that they wanted, having a nice car or having a nice apartment. So those themes are kind of linked in the two ways. So I want to recommend those two films.
So a little horror element in there, but also talking about Korean society. And last but not least, Professor Soh, how do you see the current trend of Korean movies, maybe in the latter half of the year or right now?
I mean, one of the things I noticed when I went to Bucheon and I listened to the AI seminars and things like that, what it was saying was that basically these are tools to be used, and I think maybe Korean cinema needs a tune-up. So we're really good at making genre movies, and right now, not many people are going to the cinemas. I think we need a tune-up in terms of storytelling, and maybe at the festival, the AI sort of panelists were talking about how a good filmmaker using AI tools can make a really great film, but a bad filmmaker will probably make a terrible film with it. So, it's still about creativity and trying to come up with like a new way of telling a story. And if AI helps you to do it, it can enhance you. But I think it's too soon to think machines are going to take over and make movies for us. If they did that, I think it'd be a sad day for cinema. But I think, as we are in 2025, we don't have to worry about that right now. But at the same time, I think we have to keep our tabs on what AI could do to enhance it. I know, for example, in CG or sound effects, they are using it a lot, for things like de-aging, or also, the Academy Award-winning film recently used it to change the sort of like the mouth pattern of the actor so it matches the language. So those are tools being used right now, but at the same time, there is that danger, how much of it is like something that you created or a machine created, and then how do we sort of, if a machine-enhanced movie is like a commercial hit, is that going to encourage more machines to be, part of this? Or at the end of the day, I think creativity is the last sort of frontier that I think AI will have a hard time conquering. So hopefully, real human filmmakers will continue to make the movies.
Well, and on that note, we want to say thank you for your insights again today, Professor Soh, and see you next time.
Thank you,
My
Professor.
pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you, Bella, as always. Have a great weekend and see you next week.
Yes, I'll see you back next week.